This project will cover charter schools from the perspective of Mariana Mazzucato. My first slide is what is a charter school? A charter school is viewed as an alternative to public education. Charter schools are publicly funded, but have complete freedom when deciding their curriculum. Charter schools are often known for their innovative or STEM-based curriculum, but the material taught by the school varies and is determined by the institution. Charter schools can teach online or at traditional brick and mortar institutions. Charter schools laws also vary by state. In some states, charter schools can be run as for-profit institutions. In general, charter schools receive less oversight than their public counterparts. The problem with charter schools. Charter schools receive little oversight despite being publicly funded entities. The lack of disclosure from charter schools allows for vast corruption. Many charter schools refuse to disclose their annual spending, making it easy for school officials to take advantage of the institution. Charter schools can be lucrative business because each school receives money per student in attendance. This system creates a big incentive to lie about attendance or over-enroll grade levels to maximize profits. Charter schools are notorious for fraud. In Pennsylvania, charter school founder Nicholas Trombetta stole $1 million from his school. This is not an isolated incident. As of 2013, 8 charter school officials, all from different institutions, pled guilty to fraud charges. Charter schools also harm public schools in the area. Charter schools are funded by tax dollars, taking away resources from public schools. Some charter schools are discriminatory in their enrollment. Charter schools have the ability to deny acceptance to children with disabilities, low test scores, or non-native English speakers, because these children are more expensive to educate. The education provided by charter schools is questionable, and if gone unregulated for extended periods of time, can seriously impact the academic ability of a child. Every online charter school failed to meet the average standardized test score. Children who attended brick and mortar charter schools received 29 days less of reading curriculum and 50 days less of math. How would Mariana Mazzucato view charter schools? Mazzucato argues that it is the government's responsibility to provide aid before and during a crisis. The American education system has been in crisis for decades. Underfunding of public schools has led to underpaid teachers, lack of essential resources such as textbooks, and overcrowded classrooms. The negligence of the US government towards its public education system has led desperate parents to try risky alternatives such as charter schools. Mazzucato would also argue for increased funding and support for public and charter schools to minimize the damage of the education crisis. Mazzucato would also argue for increased regulation for charter schools. Public schools are a public entity funded by tax dollars, and taxpayers deserve to know where their money is going. Increased transparency in the charter school system would prohibit officials from taking advantage of their system. Charter schools that are unprepared to educate children would also be shut down before they have the chance to damage a child's academic prospects. Mazzucato would also argue that the demonization of public sectors has caused a shift in preference towards charter schools, which act like private institutions, despite being publicly funded. These opinions can be misinformed because charter schools are often promoted by individuals who benefit economically from endorsing charter schools. Mazzucato would argue the behavior of charter schools is unacceptable and embody many of the traits of unregulated capitalism. Some charter schools receive investments from hedge funds who hope to make a huge profit from a largely unregulated industry. The prevalence of fraud in these institutions is also a result of unmanaged capitalism. Without oversight, private charter schools easily take advantage of students and spend school money on luxurious trips, phones for spouses, and expensive restaurant meals. Mazzucato would argue that the widespread presence of fraud in the charter school industry is grounds to keep charter schools in the public sector. Better government oversight needs to be instituted so that tax dollars can be safely put into the education sector. It is the government's responsibility to fix the public school system as a whole. Thank you so much for listening.